And he's dropped back, he's recovering at turn 16, and contact! Contact! This is the moment that damaged his front wing.
A 10-second penalty, one mistake, and Max Verstappen's shot at Miami glory vanished. But what really happened during that high-pressure pit stop, and why are some saying the punishment was never about the race at all? The 2025 Miami Grand Prix sprint race took an unexpected turn when Max Verstappen received a 10-second penalty for an unsafe release during a pit stop, leading to a collision with Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli. This incident not only impacted Verstappen's race, but also stirred significant discussions within the Formula One community. During the sprint race, as drivers transitioned from intermediate to slick tires on a drying track, Verstappen was released from the Red Bull pit box into the path of Antonelli. The resulting contact between the two cars prompted the FIA stewards to review the incident. They concluded that Red Bull had violated Article 34.14a of the FIA Formula One sporting regulations, which addresses unsafe releases in the pit lane. Consequently, Verstappen was handed a 10-second time penalty, dropping him from 4th to 17th place in the final standings. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner attributed the mishap to human error, acknowledging the team's mistake and emphasizing the need to learn from it. Verstappen, visibly frustrated, refrained from delving into the details of the incident, stating, "It's super clear what happened, so there's not much more for me to add." He expressed relief that no one was injured in the crowded pit lane. "It was a human error. We'll learn from it," Red Bull boss Christian Horner simply added, but his Mercedes counterpart was not impressed. But while the Dutchman remained composed in front of the cameras, behind the scenes, the frustration was unmistakable. According to paddock sources, Verstappen was livid at the timing and execution of the release. With the title fight hanging in the balance, losing points not due to pace or strategy, but from a procedural slip-up, has hit hard. The penalty had significant implications for the championship standings. Verstappen, who had been trailing McLaren's Oscar Piastri by 19 points before the sprint race, failed to score any points due to the penalty. This marked his first finish outside the points in any race format since the 2016 Belgian Grand Prix, and in a tightly contested season where every point matters, even a single lost opportunity can shift momentum. Meanwhile, McLaren capitalized on the situation, with Lando Norris winning the sprint race and Piastri finishing second. The strong performance by McLaren further extended Piastri's lead in the championship. It was yet another warning shot from the Woking-based squad. What once looked like a slow start to the season has now transformed into a title campaign with real bite. What makes this moment even more critical is how it reflects the changing dynamics of the grid. For the last few seasons, Red Bull's ability to execute flawless race weekends set them apart. But in 2025, that margin for error is gone. McLaren's relentless pressure and Mercedes' steady rise with Antonelli are pushing Red Bull into uncomfortable territory. The incident sparked discussions among teams and drivers. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff criticized the error as a significant safety lapse, stating, "I was surprised by the total lack of judgment. Somebody panicked there." Antonelli, the youngest ever F1 pole sitter at 18, expressed his frustration, noting that he had to take avoiding action, which compromised his race. While the Italian rookie walked away without damage, his early momentum was clearly disrupted. And while Verstappen was penalized, Antonelli's camp believes the consequence wasn't enough to undo the damage already done. But I am surprised about the total lack of judgment there, because he wasn't even close to releasing without any security concerns, so somebody panicked. The FIA's decision to penalize Verstappen was based on clear regulations regarding unsafe releases in the pit lane. While some may argue that the penalty was harsh, especially considering the chaotic conditions of the sprint race, the rules are in place to ensure the safety of all participants. In this case, the stewards determined that Red Bull's actions directly led to a collision, warranting the 10-second penalty. The decision underscores the importance of adhering to safety protocols even in high-pressure situations. But not everyone is convinced that this was purely about rules and safety. Some observers have pointed to inconsistencies in stewarding decisions across recent races. Incidents involving Ferrari and Aston Martin earlier in the season were met with lesser punishments, despite involving similar infractions. Could the FIA be cracking down more aggressively due to growing scrutiny over race control? Or was this simply a message to Red Bull that even the defending champions aren't above the law? There's also speculation swirling about whether Verstappen's penalty was more than just a race day decision. Was it part of a broader shift in how the FIA intends to manage competitive balance? As McLaren and Mercedes climb back into contention, the margin of tolerance for risky calls seems to be shrinking. The Miami incident serves as a reminder of the fine margins in Formula One and the critical role that team operations play in a driver's success. A miscalculation by one crew member can cost a team dearly. And in this era of micro-analyzed performance, that kind of error isn't just costly, it's unacceptable. As the championship battle intensifies, teams must minimize errors to stay competitive. For Verstappen and Red Bull, the focus now shifts to the upcoming races, where they will aim to bounce back and close the gap to McLaren. The incident in Miami will undoubtedly be a learning experience, emphasizing the need for precision and caution in every aspect of race execution. And yet there's a deeper worry beneath the surface. Red Bull's dominance, once ironclad, is now under real threat, not just from rivals with better tire management and more efficient upgrades, but from within. The operational mistakes in Miami weren't the first hiccup of the season. Earlier races in Bahrain and Jeddah also revealed cracks, poor balance, awkward setup windows, and now strategic errors. Verstappen has so far managed to mask these issues with exceptional driving, but even he can only do so much. Max Verstappen's penalty in the Miami Grand Prix sprint race was a significant moment in the 2025 Formula One season. While the penalty was a setback for Verstappen and Red Bull, it highlighted the importance of safety and adherence to regulations in the sport. As the season progresses, the incident will serve as a pivotal point in the championship narrative, reminding teams and drivers alike of the consequences of split-second decisions. The question now is how Red Bull responds. Will this mistake push the team to become sharper and more focused, or is this the beginning of a downward spiral in the face of McLaren's charge? Imola looms large on the calendar, and all eyes will be watching how Verstappen and his team bounce back, because in a title race this close, there's no room for another misstep. If you think the penalty was unfair or totally deserved, drop your take in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next twist in this season's title fight.
I don't know. Well, clearly the car is capable of being P3, so Charles did a great job today, so I can't blame him for that.
Lewis Hamilton has just fired back with a shocking response, and what's just been revealed has left Formula One fans worldwide stunned. For days, tensions built between the former Ferrari replacement and his predecessor. Until now, Hamilton, the 7-time world champion whose move to the Scuderia shook the F1 world, has made comments about their Miami collision that completely contradict Sainz's narrative, praising the very move that Sainz claimed violated racing rules. Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari's newest star driver, delivered a surprisingly gracious assessment after his wheel-banging incident with Williams driver Carlos Sainz during the closing stages of the Miami Grand Prix. Born and raised in Stevenage, England, Hamilton revolutionized the dynamic between the two drivers after their controversial last-lap contact, accumulating an astonishing 7 world championships throughout his illustrious career, while Sainz remained searching for his 5th Grand Prix victory. In a post-race interview that has the F1 world buzzing, Sainz offered a pointed critique of Hamilton's defensive driving. "He moved as soon as he saw me dive, and that created contact, which I think is quite typical, honestly. But obviously, if you follow exactly the rule book, he cannot move as much as he did, but on the last lap, that's how it goes." The Williams driver's comments suggested Hamilton had bent racing regulations with his defensive tactics, implying the Ferrari driver had engaged in questionable driving standards. What makes Hamilton's response particularly remarkable is that instead of firing back with criticism, he delivered the ultimate psychological counterpunch, genuine praise. Despite Sainz clearly suggesting rule violations, Hamilton stunned the paddock by stating, "It was fine. I think it was a good move from him." This unexpected show of sportsmanship directly contradicts Sainz's narrative and completely diffuses the brewing tension between the two champions in a masterclass of psychological warfare. Hamilton's strategic brilliance extended far beyond basic racing during the Miami Grand Prix weekend. He was one of the most diplomatic figures in the entire paddock, balancing competitive intensity with championship-caliber sportsmanship, a combination that proved crucial in high-stakes moments when tensions flared between drivers. This revolutionary approach was most famously executed during his post-race interviews, where he acknowledged his own struggles. "On the final lap, I lost the rear tires, I lost a lot of tire following Charles, and they were getting destroyed. Carlos got into DRS range in the last corner. I tried to turn into the apex, and he was there. We touched a bit." The specific details of the incident reveal racing stewards' tactical assessment and ability to analyze the nuanced contact between former teammates. When investigated by race officials, their ruling stated, "Car 55 attempted an overtake on the inside of car 44 into turn 17, and both cars made contact at the apex. The stewards determined that both drivers contributed to the incident, as car 55 did not clearly get in a position to have the right to the racing line according to the driving standards guidelines, and at the same time, car 44 turned into the corner earlier than usual." This level of detailed analysis and refusal to assign blame sets an important precedent for last-lap racing incidents and provides Formula One with crucial guidance for managing similar scenarios in future races. As multiple F1 analysts acknowledged after witnessing the controversial incident, the steward's decision that no driver is deemed predominantly to blame represents a balanced approach to racing incidents. Indeed, while spectators commonly attributed fault to either Hamilton or Sainz based on team allegiances, racing insiders have long recognized that every calculated defensive move and critical overtaking attempt involves shared risk and responsibility from both competitors. The importance of this driver relationship is something modern Formula One teams understand deeply. With Sainz having been essentially replaced by Hamilton at Ferrari for the 2025 season, their on-track interactions carry an unavoidable subtext about Ferrari's driver choices. This sentiment echoes the critical role that team dynamics now play in Formula One's psychological battles, a tradition and standard of excellence that Hamilton's response brilliantly navigates. Hamilton's influence at Ferrari extends far beyond his on-track expertise. He represents the organization's commitment to securing championship-caliber talent during their most ambitious title campaign in recent memory. Under his leadership, Ferrari established performance standards and a culture of excellence that permeates every aspect of the team's identity throughout their pursuit of both the drivers' and constructors' championships. Even after their on-track contact, Hamilton remained focused on Ferrari's larger performance issues rather than dwelling on the incident. While many drivers would fixate on the controversial contact, he concentrated on solving the team's more significant challenges. "I think this car really does have performance. We're just not... Something's holding us back at the moment. We've lost performance since China. It's there. It's just we can't use it, so we need a fix for that." This level of mature leadership and priority setting sets Hamilton apart from many of his competitors who might become distracted by individual racing incidents. Hamilton's impact goes far beyond just the race results. He has changed how drivers deal with problems after races, like mind games and talking to the media. He's one of the smartest and most skilled speakers in Formula One today, showing how valuable experience still is when it comes to fighting for championships at the top level. For those who truly understand Formula One's psychological battles and the complexity of driver dynamics, Hamilton's gracious response represents far more than just diplomatic phrasing or mechanical PR training. It embodies an unwavering pursuit of excellence, adaptability, and strategic communication that could define an entire season of driver interactions. As many industry observers have noted, Lewis Hamilton may be new to Ferrari, but he never needed Maranello's red to establish his own legacy in the sport. The Miami Grand Prix serves as a fitting display of Hamilton's true character. It also provides an important reminder that behind every great champion stands a sophisticated understanding of racing psychology that, while often overlooked by casual fans, is absolutely essential to championship success at Formula One's highest level. Hamilton's story goes beyond racing, showing the power of mental fortitude and psychological mastery in the face of direct criticism from competitors. His journey proves that experience, maturity, and championship DNA can reshape not just single incidents but the entire narrative surrounding driver conflicts. From his early days as McLaren's young star to becoming arguably the greatest Formula One driver in history, now racing for Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton has left his mark on countless moments that will help define the next chapter of motorsport history. As the Formula One world digests this latest revelation about Hamilton's surprising response, it's worth reflecting on the full scope of his potential impact on Ferrari's championship ambitions, beyond the impressive resume. 7 world championships and 103 Grand Prix victories lies a blueprint for championship leadership that continues to influence how elite drivers operate today. From executing flawless race strategy to managing delicate team dynamics, Hamilton's vision could help transform Ferrari from perennial contenders into championship favorites despite their current performance struggles. Subscribe now if you're ready for the next bombshell in this championship war.
Welcome. Quick photo, guys. Lewis. Happy fun. All right, ready? Right here. Right at me. Right here. Good. I'm gonna do one more. Hold on. Cut that. Ready? Good. Got it.
You got it? Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher has delivered a bombshell prediction about Lewis Hamilton's future at Ferrari. The 6-time Grand Prix winner suggests the 7-time world champion may retire before his contract expires at the end of 2026. Schumacher's assessment comes after analyzing Hamilton's struggles during his first season with Ferrari. Hamilton currently sits 7th in the drivers' standings with 31 points after 5 races. His Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc holds a 16-point advantage, having outqualified Hamilton on 4 of 5 occasions. The British driver has managed one top-5 finish in Sunday races, while his only bright spot came with a sprint race victory in China. He just can't cope with the car, Schumacher told Sky Germany's F1 podcast. We talk a lot about Lando Norris and his lack of belief, but it's almost worse with him. You can see that he's really slumped over. Schumacher draws from personal experience to explain his prediction. As someone who competed at the highest level for teams including Jordan, Williams, and Toyota, he understands the psychological toll of struggling to adapt late in one's career. If you're standing there at some point and have no more resources and are permanently slower, then you lose everything, Schumacher explained. I know from my own experience, if it goes on like this, it's no fun anymore. The former driver describes a potential breaking point for Hamilton. Then at some point, he wakes up in the morning and thinks to himself, "Why am I doing this to myself? I'm no longer having fun. I can't do it anymore. I am getting in the way of my team." Hamilton's difficulties began immediately after joining Ferrari in winter 2025, ending an 11-year partnership with Mercedes. The 40-year-old driver has struggled to match Leclerc's pace, particularly evident in Saudi Arabia, where he finished over 30 seconds behind his teammate. Schumacher identifies a deeper pattern in Hamilton's struggles. If it goes on like this, there's a risk that at some point he'll say, "Look, I don't want this anymore. I want to live my life now. I'm 40 years old. I'm so rich. I'm not doing this to myself anymore." Obviously, it's not working out for some reason. The German recognizes Hamilton's proven abilities remain intact. However, China also showed that as soon as he gets into the car and the track and the car suit him, he delivers. There's still something to come. Ferrari management maintains high expectations for their blockbuster signing. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur provides unwavering support, stating, "I will be 2,000% behind him." Schumacher said, "The expectations are very high, and Ferrari wants value for money. That means he has to make sure he performs. He probably will, because China was no accident." Hamilton acknowledges his adaptation challenges directly. "When I joined Mercedes, the first 6 months were tough, getting attuned to working with new people. Obviously, the engineers that I'm working with now are used to setting up the car for a different driver and a different driver style, and I'm used to driving a car with a different driving style." The contrast between veteran and rookie adaptability emerges when comparing Hamilton to Oliver Bearman. Ferrari Academy driver Bearman has shown competitive speed at Haas, leading the qualifying head-to-head against teammate Esteban Ocon 3-2. Schumacher examines the adaptability difference. A young driver is more used to that. They have a fixed car, so they're used to driving with what they have. Ocon is also having some difficulties with Behrman because Behrman says, okay, this is the car I have to drive it.